TV18.
Two roads diverged in a wood. I took the one less traveled by, and that, my friend, has made all the difference. All the difference. Robert Frost's immortal lines are an apt testament to Rakesh's own life. Rakesh was ever ready to make his own path, ever ready to march to his own convictions. Hello, everyone. I'm Ramesh Damani, welcoming you back to part 2 of our tribute, Remembering Rakesh, on Wizards of the Street. In this episode, continuing with us are Bhaskar Bhatt, Director Tata Sons, Utpal Sheth, CEO of Rare Enterprises, Amit Gola, partner at Rare, and joining us for his take, Burgess Desai, former managing partner, J. Sagar Associates. Gentlemen, welcome again to another episode. Burgess, you just joined us. Let me start with you. Do you remember your first meeting with Rakesh?
Yes, I do.
Talk to us about it.
Sometime in the mid-90s. There was a company called Praj, of which we all heard of, in which one of the substantial shareholders wanted to divest his equity. And that was the occasion on which I met him first time. And he said that it is overvalued, the price which the shareholder was asking for. And I said, okay, look, this is a company which is on a rock-solid foundation, and I can vouch for its integrity and the commitment of the vision of the promoters. So he says, Babaji, you don't give me lessons on how to value stocks. And then within 15-20 minutes, he said, I'm going to go by what you say, much against my discretion, and I'm going to buy it. So he today, if you take into account all the corporate actions which took place over the years, I think it was worth about, at 9 rupees he bought the stock.
Right. Another of his legendary investment. Yes. But Burgess, from what I understand, you didn't bond over that, you bonded over horse racing. You both bet on stocks called Sensex and Nifty, is that right?
That horse racing came much later, several years later. And it was, I very unwittingly had to get into horse breeding because of some distress sale made by a friend, although I knew very little about horses. And after about 5 or 6 years, Rakesh was introduced by some other friends to horse racing. And then he said that, why don't we own some good horses together? So we bought a horse which was named Sensex.
Sensex and Nifty, I hear.
So Nifty won several races, and Sensex didn't run at all. And there was another horse which was very cheap, and which went on to win against all odds the Hyderabad Derby. It was very appropriately called Mahateji.
Mahateji, right. That's the long shot that Rakesh always bets on. Burgess, you talked about Praj Industries, and I know you're part of several other deals with him. Rakesh had this unique ability to sniff out promoters.
Yes.
What was his smell test?
So I said, apart from all the usual due diligence and various other things, I think he had a very natural instinct. You know, I would like to compare it to, rather sort of flippantly, to trained pigs being made to pick up truffles from the ground. So he had really a nose for the promoter. He did make a few mistakes, particularly when he would go by reasons other than sort of rational decision-making out of relationships, etc. But he was quick to admit them. But he had a very uncanny sense of knowing who's going to do what. And he had a very keen and a detailed eye. I have seen so many promoters very uncomfortably squirm when he reminded them what they had said at the time of investing.
Amit, one of the things that your boss always used to say was, invest first, investigate later. Was that true?
No, I don't think so, Ramesh, that was true. There are several examples which I can tell you. So, while this was his favorite line, I think the thinking behind that was way beyond and deep. See, as I told you, he was working 24/7. Okay, he was always looking at opportunities. He was evaluating sectors. He might be there or he might not be there in that sector. But it did not mean that he was not thinking about it. So what that meant was when an opportunity came, he was always well prepared that he could take the decision very quickly. For example, if you take Akasa, in Akasa, he was always bullish on airlines. He had invested in Indigo, he had invested in SpiceJet, but somehow nothing worked out. And then when this opportunity came, the sheer brain power, horsepower which he brought to the table, he could evaluate it very quickly and he closed it in 48 hours. So it was not...
The entire deal in 48 hours.
Yeah, so you might say it is invest first and investigate later, but that's not the case.
He had done his homework prior and kept doing his homework out there.
Yeah.
Good enough. Amit, Bhaskar made a good point about Akasa Airlines. You had Tata SIA Airlines. Was there rivalry or did you tell him anything about airline business?
I think the Akasa story, in a way, reflects Rakesh's belief in India, okay? There's no doubt, that Indians are going to want a better way of traveling. And there is no other country, by 2030, India will be the third biggest aviation market in the world. And it's just going to go. 500 million people, 540 million is the number of people who are going to fly from the current high pre-COVID, the 140 million. It's going to.
So almost 1 in 3 Indians.
Yeah, it's just the number of people who are going to fly. So there's no question. Now, how to skin that cat is left to the management and to the investor.
Utpal, he was wide known for his circle of friends. He was the life of the party. But yet, some friends were closer than the rest. Who were part of his kitchen cabinet?
I think, of course, Radhakishan ji,
R.K.
yourself,
Damani, of course, yes.
I think Kalpraj, Amal, Madhu.
They were very close to him in the last few years.
Very close, yes.
Correct. Amit, let me come back to you. I find it fascinating that a boss, a man of such fortitude, ability to look around corners, to grasp the unknown, was so casual about his health. Why?
Ramesh, one word I can say for that, hubris.
Really?
It was just hubris. See what had happened, Ramesh, he had got everything which he wanted right from the time he started his life in the stock market. He came to the markets against all odds, he became successful. He started off talking about becoming a billionaire when the word even millionaire was not used. And he became a billionaire. He wanted a large and happy family, though late he got that also. He wanted respect, he wanted to be at a particular level, he got that. So I think he always believed that he'll be able to dodge this bullet, but...
So he just felt that the sheer adrenaline would pass him through.
Yeah, that he would be able to see this through also.
But as you remarkably pointed out, Amit, that despite his obvious trouble for the last 2-3 years, he never complained.
I will tell you one episode, I'll never forget that in my life. He was finally eating salt-free food, and one day he called me to the hospital and he said, have food with me. I was not even able to swallow that stuff. And he said, Khana, maja to aa raha hai, kya problem hai? I said, Bhaiya, are you serious? He said, Dekh, jo karna padta hai, don't complain. Can you imagine that man?
Yeah, we had the feet on this world, but unfortunately, he was not able to walk for the last few months of his life. Everything you ever wanted is on the other side of fear. As we go into a break, let's look at some of the tweets about Rakesh Jhunjhunwala.